Hi, my name's Elsa, and I'm an alcoholic, and my dog is about to throw up. You okay? Okay, I was already nervous, so that's great. Anyway, let's see. I have a sponsor, my sponsor has a sponsor, and I have a sponsee. My sober date is March 11th, 2022. So I've been 9 months today. I'm super excited about that. We went and got our Christmas tree to celebrate. My story has a little bit of trauma, so hopefully it's not triggering, but I'll just start a little bit from the beginning. Growing up, my mom was a drug dealer. We often had a lot of shady people around us, one of which she ended up falling in love with. And he sexually molested me for, I'm not really sure how long. I kind of let that memory go away, but I finally told my mother and she didn't believe me, and she ended up sending me away. And then when I was about 13, she let me come back, but he had gotten in trouble with the law, so he was deported to Mexico. So we moved there with him. And my mom ended up coming back to the States for something. She ended up getting in trouble, put in prison. So I had to stay with my abuser in Mexico for I'm not really sure how long. It might have been a couple of months. I'm not really sure. Either way, he ended up trying to rape me. And unfortunately, my sister saw that. Years later, I found out that he had also been molesting my sister, and she was 3 at the time. So when I found drinking when I got older, I felt like I had found something that made me feel less weird, I suppose. As I mentioned yesterday, I was born with one hand. So I was already an off kid on the playground, but I came back in my young teens also fucked up in the head. And so I didn't really have a lot of luck making friends or anything like that. So when I found alcohol, it was the cure. I could talk to people. I felt comfortable. I was the fun one in the room, and I had a really good time. At first, it was socially, and then my husband and I ended up moving our family into his parents' house, and that's where I spiraled. I felt like I was a kid again, being controlled. And so I started drinking a lot of hard liquor. We ended up buying our house, and it only got worse. My husband had to put up cameras all over this place because he was worried that I was going to pass out somewhere and possibly not wake up. So he had to work late, and there was often times he would have to come home early to check on me to make sure I was still breathing. I also took medications, and so that made the whole situation that much more dangerous. I had a few fuck ups. I did a hit and run. A lot of things really opened up my eyes to tell me that I had a problem. And I thought maybe I was just going through a really rough time, especially, during that time I was reliving a lot of my trauma. And so I decided to quit drinking hard liquor and to just go to beer. And every time I tried to stop, it was ridiculous. It was like it was calling me. And finally I found AA, and I relapsed after 5 days. And then I came back and I made it 14. And then I came back, and every time I relapsed, I came to a meeting anyway, because I knew that I needed help. That time I found a sponsor, and she helped me start getting through the steps. One of the steps that came along, I think it was my inventory step 4. My traumas came up in my inventory, and I remember going into an in-person meeting, and there was a woman there that talked about there's a lot of things on our inventory list that we have no part in. But what we do have a part in, because you can't really control those kind of situations, and especially when you're a child. But what your part in that is growing, becoming an adult, and then still holding on to that, just letting the trauma consume you. And especially, as an alcoholic, it's just something you just relive over and over and over. And so I got a therapist and I worked through it. And I remember one day I was sharing in a meeting, and I just kind of had like this aha moment where I was like, wow, I did my 5th step. I told somebody about my problem and about my trauma, and finally just pushed it away from me, and just like took those rocks and took it out of my backpack. That's what my sponsor always said, came to our inventory or doing step 5 and, relaying it to another human being. And so it felt, when I said it out loud, it was just like, it's been 20 something years. And today, I think I was about 5 months over, I felt so free. I felt so good. And to this day, like every once in a while, I think about it, but it's not like it used to be. It's not with a heavy heart. I remember just judging the little girl that was fearful. And it's just, we tend to be harder on ourselves than we would at other people. If you were to see a kid in that situation, you would want to hold them and like help them. But when you see it as yourself, sometimes, we get fucked up in the head and we don't really think of that person as a child. And I've definitely come to that realization. I can't be that hard on myself. Otherwise, I'm like any person, like some bystander, just looking at that little girl and judging her. And I personally would never do that. So why would I do that to myself? So this program has definitely taught me to be more gentle with myself. It taught me compassion, definitely compassion. Growing up, I spent so much time trying to protect myself. I forgot how to learn how other people feel too, how other people are affected by things. And it's definitely something I've brought to my marriage that's made our bond even stronger. Like we were already close. The drinking almost drove us apart. But after the program, I mean, it's like we're best friends and we hardly ever fight unless we're hangry. But I mean, that's anybody, right? But yeah, if I could give you guys anything to take from this meeting, it would be the past. It's the past. It's gone, and it's okay to move on. And because all we have right now is this moment here, and then every moment that follows. Thank you.